Angular, or Vue, which build on top of JavaScript and make writing client-side code a lot easier and more maintainable. But that's another video. Traditionally, JavaScript is an interpreted language, meaning the code is read line by line instead of having to go through a compile step where it's converted to machine code. Browsers have actually added something called the just-in-time compiler, though, to speed up their engines. While JavaScript was known as a slow language in the past, computers are so fast now that's hardly the case anymore. JavaScript's doing pretty much everything these days, from running servers to machine learning and more. We can do a lot of stuff on the back end now with the JavaScript environment known as Node.js. That means we can write APIs, talk to databases, and talk to other servers, all with JavaScript. Node uses the same V8 engine as Chrome, so it's lightning fast. Still, things that are very performance intensive are going to be better off with Go or C++. Let's talk about the language itself. Variables hold either single-cell primitives or compound data. Primitives are usually numbers, booleans, or strings of text, while compound data is held by arrays and objects. In modern JavaScript, we use the keywords let and const to declare variables. If you plan to change it later, use let, otherwise use const. Arrays, also known as lists in other languages, are just multi-celled, ordered clusters of data. Objects, also known as dictionaries in other languages, are pretty much what they sound like. You give it a word and it retrieves the definition. For example, if I give it the key, over retrieve the JavaScript is the number one most popular programming language, or document on object is the most. It's also not even close in just JavaScript language. It was 5 years JavaScript representation almost everything is structure for the HTML from where and is present in the variable actual syntax. We load the language. As we object one contains 20 element objects JavaScript the if statements or scripts is the only client sets and more language, meaning it waits executing a code in most commonly when you can use a for in loop to iterate a program called the back browser, and if for each of the browsers it is its own over engine array, which is what actually executes the code, just any code we want among the others with more than once. Side code can these change with this special keyword function. Then data whatever we want to name our function more data and finally on the parameters or input. You might have referred to our client side framework. You can react them as variables or that are set later, which are what build on top of a function JavaScript. Will also want to make returns in class something which will be the code output or easier of our and function more maintainable function. But that's it's another video. Translating additional in play JavaScript our script is an interpreted language method are the same meaning as functions rendered except they're attached to different data types having to go through we compile these methods with where the cannot converted to machine code. Browsers have actually added something called the just-in-time functions can all possibly be written like this to speed up their parameters on the left, while JavaScript returns known automatically local language in one the line. Computers are so functions now that generally hardly use the case anymore. JavaScript which pretty much of every function these as an argument and run that to function machine every item in the array. We can do a lot of stuff that's on the complicated end as now we'll go with get the Java. Another environment huge part of it is JavaScript is known as asynchronous program. That means we can write a format non-deterministic databases and sometimes just whether network requires also with server script to fetch more data. Node uses the same don't know when the server request is so you know it's like turning fast or if it's going to fail things that are very hairy and preferable for both instead of intense cases are going to be better off with programming has more evolved the less plot over the years in JavaScript. Let's talk about what the current language standard is think away variables and holds either or some single cell primitive. All you have to do is add the data wake primitive words are used and usually will pause your program when user send strings of text. Well, until their data is their comes back or a phase and well, not in technically JavaScript we use. I also have to words mentioned let and I concepts to compare variables into if you want JavaScript change vanilla JavaScript has what's known as other dynamics you types or no types arrays and all types of script known as this list static other language things are just meaningful. We have to be specific or about what kind of values of view it is in a variable. This just seems like also action under work, but it should actually has another language which is ton of errors. Pretty much what they sound on. Let's talk about you give NVIDIA PM word and no code tree use that gives the dash manager. Answers are if I need to give some key someone else is already written over retrieve the value downloaded as module and the chances are or it's document test subject is the most important object and anyway that's it's a JavaScript in representations of the trees like the video HTML you like it and it's so others people in the book very variable document that we list for the page. The document object can coordinate is the stack element over flow developers through survey. We could have script service for the number one of the most popular programming language user event listeners or to change how the page is also not even close to the language was through a set of years ago called the browser API. Almost everything is to change method for the better. Where JavaScript runs a to the actually like language meaning its language. Most of it as we go from 2020 this here's JavaScript to expand lengths for just 5 minutes while loops and more. When you any page on the internet speaking of loops, computers commonly hold a user of 4 file in loops to including release object HTML 4 file of loop to iterate over HTML files is able to load JavaScript just then use the code we will just want to use scripts more than one from here this same click folder these with the special around keyword and function followed by whatever script and just names the mark only function plan and length language the programming emitter waits or the indexing puts to code or until it sits on your computer. You can use things in them as variables that are the later when we each user other fuzzer function so well and also one which is what turns actually something which equals speeds the code output or result of among other things client all of function code and can with change the name display by passing in input so it sends as data arguments or fetch more methods data from on this functions except you have sort of different data frameworks like we can call all the activities with or view notation built on top of JavaScript and make writing client function code can also be written like this and more parameters on the left, but that's another term videos automatic. Traditionally on page one JavaScript is an arrow for function language generally used in or when the grain code matters with the red side by which I take a function as an argument having run that through a function upon every else item in the array it's converted to don't worry that's this complicated as we'll get it's something called the other time part of JavaScript is known as speed or programming. While JavaScript brings not known as a term local like language operation array past computers and network fabric request that's to server case and to more fetch more data. JavaScript we pretty much know everything when there is their requests from running the research servers to machine or learn if it's learning is going to more fail. So we can do a lot of both stuff on the base and now with the JavaScript programming environment has evolved. Known as a lot over the years JavaScript The current instance and right is API size. Wait, talk to data and database awesome. And talk all you have to do is add all the JavaScript keyword, and then it will use the same program when end user sends Chrome, so it's lightning until that there's the comes whole thing that comes or very performance intense once of are going to be tech better off Java with script I also have to see bench plus types script which let style talks about the intellect and language Java script vanilla Java is very scriptable tells as was old known as either angles make self type primitive or no compound state and type primitive gives their use usually adding number types boolean means or string have to be test specific about what kind of data value is held in a variable this seems like extra work but it actually helps us turn Java script ton of use the keywords let it. And finally, let's talk about their npm. Then if you plan to change later, you change this start. If you need some other code, you use someone else's already written arrays. You can also download it as this module and other language changes. This are just smart multi-type test order and called series of data. Anyway, that's Java, also known as scripted dictionary phrase and other languages. Please like the video if you like this did sound so like other people you give it a word and it retrieves this for watching mission. For example, if I give it the C back over Flow developers, it'll retrieve the JavaScript is the number one most popular programming language or document 2019 is the most also not even close Java language it was 5 years ago. Script representation almost everything the string is instructions for sure for the HTML from where it can and is present in the variable actual document text when we load the language which the document object going to 20 and 2020 here's JavaScript through the spawn we can search for just 5 gallons add user when you event load listening pages or on the internet how that page your look computers sent to all the folders possible through files method including it called the release browse one or API HTML we'll get to the methods soon. This is a JavaScript is able to slow C Java language from the meaning it's called the storm script most of it acts from into the from same full C folder or else includes if statements for Java or script is the only cloud and more language meaning it waits to execute loop code mode and commonly on will use a few for in using to your program for an object the background and for each of loops to iterate over an array which is what actually functions the code just any code we want to use other things one client side code clear she's with change this is the keyword function set by data whatever we want to name or function or data and finally the server parameters or input you might have to a vertical core function side frameworks it's like you can think of them as being variable or there's set you later which one build me on using tops or function JavaScript will also make one of returning current things which will code that output a lot of results of our function more maintainable function but that's another vein and by traditionally in page put JavaScript argument is an interpreted language methods are the same as next fun code is runs and by their attached different data and stated types having to go through we compile these methods with where it's not converted to machine code. Browsers have actually added something called just function can also be written like this speed up their parameters are on the left while Java and JavaScript term was known as a statically slowly for a language on one the path line. Computers are so functions that are generally used because it isn't anymore rare method the JavaScript and push pretty make a bunch of everything these days are from running it and wherever runners that function machine and every item in the array. We can do a lot of see that stuff that's fun that's complicated and it does now with get the Java another huge part of the JavaScript node is known as a asynchronous program. That means we can perform API on deterministic database operations and talk just about another network request all to a JavaScript to fetch more data. Node uses the same video engine when it's in the request is so good as the light turning fast or if it's going to fail things that so we are very profitable for both instead of in case of are going to be better off with programming has evolved a lot over the years in JavaScript. Let's talk about the language standard think variables and hold either some single cell primitives or you have to do and pass out add the data away primitive are usually will be numbers programming when users set strings of text while into that compound data either is held by or phase and object while not in modern JavaScript we use the key so you were to mention type and context which you compare variables into normal JavaScript and change vanilla JavaScript use left as what's known as otherwise make to use types or no type arrays and types so no gives lists and other language things are just meaning we have to be spelled specific about what kind of value data is in a variable. This seems like all extra known words, but it actually very helps another system like category which is a ton of are pretty much what they say. Finally, let's talk about you given a word and it no tree paves back the definition. For example, you need to give it the code. So name already written or retrieve the value downloaded as a module. The it's documented object is the most important object in JavaScript. That's it's a JavaScript in represents minutes of the please like the video if you liked it and it's always present people in the very seeable document when we load the page. The document object contains many of the stack overflow of developers survey. We could have JavaScript for the number one of the most popular programming language. User event list 20 or change how the page looks. Also, not even all those. This is the language was set a years ago called the browser. Almost everything is a change method for the better. From where JavaScript runs, that's actually like saying language, meaning like saying storage. Almost most of it's and as we get going around into 2020, conclusions. According to the Stack Overflow Developer Survey, JavaScript is the #1 most popular programming language in 2019. It's also not even close to the language it was 5 years ago. Almost everything has changed for the better, from where it can run to the actual syntax of the language. As we go into 2020, here's JavaScript explained in just 5 minutes. When you load any page on the internet, your computer sent a folder of files, including at least one HTML file. This HTML file is able to load JavaScript with something called a script tag from either the same folder or elsewhere on the internet. JavaScript is the only client-side language, meaning it waits to execute code until it's on your computer using a program called the browser. Each browser has its own engine, which is what actually executes the code. Among other things, client-side code can change the display, send data, or fetch more data from the server. You might have heard of client-side frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue, which build on top of JavaScript and make writing client-side code a lot easier and more maintainable. But that's another video. Traditionally, JavaScript is an interpreted language, meaning the code is read line by line instead of having to go through a compile step where it's converted to machine code. Browsers have actually added something called the just-in-time compiler, though, to speed up their engines. While JavaScript was known as a slow language in the past, computers are so fast now that's hardly the case anymore. JavaScript's doing pretty much everything these days, from running servers to machine learning and more. We can do a lot of stuff on the back end now with the JavaScript environment known as Node.js. That means we can write APIs, talk to databases, and talk to other servers, all with JavaScript. Node uses the same V8 engine as Chrome, so it's lightning fast.
Still, things that are very performance intensive are going to be better off with Go or C++. Let's talk about the language itself. Variables hold either single-cell primitives or compound data.
Primitives are usually numbers, booleans, or strings of text, while compound data is held by arrays and objects. In modern JavaScript, we use the keywords let and const to declare variables.
If you plan to change it later, use let, otherwise use const.
Arrays, also known as lists in other languages, are just multi-celled, ordered clusters of data. Objects, also known as dictionaries in other languages, are pretty much what they sound like. You give it a word and it retrieves the definition. For example, if I give it the key name, it'll retrieve the value Aaron. The DOM, or document object, is the most important object in JavaScript. It's a JavaScript representation of the structure of our HTML and is present in the variable document when we load the page. The document object contains many element objects.
Through the DOM, we can search for specific elements, add user event listeners, or change how the page looks. All this is possible through a set of methods called the Browser API. We'll get to methods soon.
JavaScript's a C-like language, meaning it stole most of its syntax from C. This includes if statements, for loops, while loops, and more.
Speaking of loops, most commonly we'll use a for in loop to iterate over an object and a for of loop to iterate over an array.
Functions are just any code we want to use more than once. We declare these with the special keyword function, followed by whatever we want to name our function, and finally the parameters or inputs to our function.
You can think of them as variables that are set later when we use our function. We'll also want to return something which will be the output or result of our function.
Call a function with its name and by passing in inputs as arguments. Methods are the same as functions except they're attached to different data types. We call these methods with the dot notation.
Functions can also be written like this. Parameters are on the left, and it returns automatically if written on one line. Arrow functions are generally used in array methods, which take a function as an argument and run that function on every item in the array. Don't worry, that's as complicated as we'll get. Another huge part of JavaScript is known as asynchronous programming, or performing non-deterministic operations, such as a network request to a server to fetch more data. We don't know when the request is going to return or if it's going to fail, so we have to handle both of those cases. Async programming has evolved a lot over the years in JavaScript, but the current standard is async await, and it's awesome. All you have to do is add the await keyword, and it will pause your program when you send a request until that request either comes back or fails. While not technically JavaScript, I also have to mention TypeScript, which compiles into normal JavaScript. Vanilla JavaScript has what's known as dynamic types or no types, and TypeScript gives us static typing, meaning we have to be specific about what kind of value is in a variable. This seems like extra work, but it actually helps us catch a ton of errors. Finally, let's talk about NPM, the Node Package Manager. Chances are, if you need some code, someone else has already written it. You can download it as a module, and chances are it's well tested and bug-free. Anyway, that's JavaScript in just 5 minutes. Please like the video if you liked it so other people can see it. Thanks for watching.
According to the Stack Overflow Developer Survey, JavaScript was the #1 most popular programming language in 2019. It's also not even close to the language it was 5 years ago. Almost everything has changed for the better, from where it can run to the actual syntax of the language. As we go into 2020, here's JavaScript explained in just 5 minutes. When you load any page on the internet, your computer sent a folder of files, including at least one HTML file. This HTML file is able to load JavaScript with something called a script tag from either the same folder or elsewhere on the internet. JavaScript is the only client-side language, meaning it waits to execute code until it's on your computer using a program called the browser. Each browser has its own engine, which is what actually executes the code. Among other things, client-side code can change the display, send data, or fetch more data from the server.
You might have heard of client-side frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue,
which build on top of JavaScript and make writing client-side code a lot easier and more maintainable. But that's another video. Traditionally, JavaScript is an interpreted language, meaning the code is read line by line instead of having to go through a compile step where it's converted to machine code. Browsers have actually added something called the just-in-time compiler, though, to speed up their engines.
While JavaScript was known as a slow language in the past, computers are so fast now that's hardly the case anymore. JavaScript's doing pretty much everything these days, from running servers to machine learning and more. We can do a lot of stuff on the back end now with the JavaScript environment known as Node.js. That means we can write APIs, talk to databases, and talk to other servers, all with JavaScript. Node uses the same V8 engine as Chrome, so it's lightning fast. Still, things that are very performance intensive are going to be better off with Go or C++. Let's talk about the language itself. Variables hold either single-cell primitives or compound data.
Primitives are usually numbers, booleans, or strings of text, while compound data is held by arrays and objects. In modern JavaScript, we use the keywords let and const to declare variables.
If you plan to change it later, use let, otherwise